the downstairs open? All right. So if he runs up to me, don't be surprised. Okay, it's my son, so he's the exception. But nonetheless, as before we start, one of the things that it's important to stress is I'm sure every single person in the room felt it today, right? The disturbance, the noise, the kids running and talking, discussing. For parents, see, I'm a bad example because my son is interrupting. But ultimately, if we have one of our kids who are above the age of 3, 4, 5 speaking blatantly in front of us, you have to ask yourself, why are they speaking? Right? Growing up, anybody who's older than me, around my age, whatever, you guys know. When you used to step foot on this blue, hey, just bring it to me. So, whenever we used to step foot on the musalla area, we never used to speak. And it wasn't just because, oh, my father was there, or because my mother was there, or there was somebody threatening to tap us on the back of the head. That wasn't the reason why. Yes, sir, come again. The reason for it was very simply because we had and we understood the adab and the manners of being in the masjid. Parents, please listen to me. Is that adab, mannerisms, is part of our religion. And to instill it and teach it to our children, minus the toddlers, is very, very important. And the number one reason you ask me why kids don't understand how to behave in the masjid today, I'll tell you the reason why. It's because we don't bring them enough. We don't show them that what this place really is. We don't bring them for Fajr. We don't bring them for Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha on their weekdays. And so then we're shocked, man, why can't they stay in place? Why can't they be, quiet? Because they never come here because you never bring them here. If you're never exposed to the masjid, how are the kids going to realize this is a sacred place? They're just going to see it as a playground. And so the first thing we have to do is that if you see or if you notice your child was not behaving today, the number one thing you have to do is start bringing them here more. Because if you don't do that, they will never understand the sacred value of this place. Number two is that if your kids are old enough, have them pray with you. I always loved it, growing up, praying next to my father. My father, he was a truck driver. I would not see him throughout the week. Many kids, you don't even see your dad throughout the week, your mom throughout the week. They're working, 10, 11 hours a day. One of the most proudest moments I used to have is when I used to have the opportunity to stand next to my father and pray next to him. And it wasn't that much. But every single time I was fortunate enough to come to the masjid with my father, I loved it and I wanted to stand next to him and show him how behaved I was. And show him I have that discipline, the expectation. And maybe we're too lax on our kids today. We're like, oh man, if I'm a little bit aggressive to them, they might run away and think this religion is, scary or whatnot. But this is 2025, right? We're not in this age where we have to constantly worry about, oh my God, is my kid going to leave Islam? No. The thing that's going to trouble their iman is the fact that we don't bring them to the masjid. Not that we're a little strict on them. Every single parent, when it comes to your secular education, your kids' grades, there is no exception, there are no excuses. But when it comes to Islam, their Islamic education, coming to the masjid, there's 1,000,001 excuses for it. And so I don't want to drag this on too much longer, but there is clearly a gap that needs to be filled. And that presence comes back to spending time with our families in the masjid. I spoke about it today during the khutbah as well. The legacy that the Prophet ﷺ wanted us to leave behind. If you ask me what is the greatest accomplishment of the Prophet ﷺ, is that he left behind the greatest ummah on this planet. That's not just you and me, those are the younger kids in the back too. The ones that are sitting next to us. They're a part of that same ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. And so if we know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we have risen you, we have brought you amongst the best of nations to ever step foot, then that shows us that it's upon each and every single one of us to instill the level of greatness in all of ourselves and our kids especially. In Islam, we have goals and stuff like that. But if you look at Islam compared to all the other religions, we are the standard. We're not the goal. We are the gold standard for what it means to be a religion in 2025. Tell me there's one other religion on this planet that has made this much of an impact on people's lives. If you go in the last 100 years, every single news channel, if they're speaking about a religion, they're speaking about Islam. They're never speaking about Judaism. They're never speaking about Christianity. They're never speaking about Buddhism or Hinduism or whatever. Every single story, good or bad, is revolved around Islam. You have the ideal, the standard religion, right? So don't be scared to show it. Don't be scared or wonder, oh man, are my kids going to shy away from the religion? No. You have the gold standard. There's nothing that you need to be shy about. And then this goes into my topic for today. Obviously, we know this is the blessed month of Rabiul. And I won't take too long because obviously it's Maghrib. But I want to go back to the first revelation that the Prophet ﷺ received. And I want to speak about what happens after the Prophet ﷺ receives revelation. As we know, the Prophet ﷺ, he used to go to the cave. And he used to go there to reflect about society, what was going on. It was kind of a spiritual retreat. But it's interesting, the Prophet ﷺ, does he ever go back to that cave? Yes or no? No, right? He never goes back to the cave. That was the last time. The reason for it, again, it goes back to it. Once revelation came to the Prophet ﷺ, once wahi came down, there was no more sitting back in a cave. There was no more, okay, I have to focus or I have to think about. No, the mission has started. And the Prophet ﷺ, understood that from the first revelation. What his assignment is, what his duty is. And so for us sitting in this room, we have been blessed with Islam as well. And it's not enough to sit in our houses all day. It's not enough to hide our religion from the public. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of what it means to be a Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ never shied away from it. Of course, he was very strategic in how he first gave dawah, who he spoke to, how he did it. Very strategic. All of this is details for us in the seerah. Who and how he interacted and what he said to them. We even know who was the first companion, and that is his wife. We know his first friend who became Muslim, and that's Abu Bakr. We know the first child to become Muslim, and that's Ali. We know all the earliest companions and who they were, how the conversations went, because they cherished those conversations. And one of those unique conversations that I want to bring up is when he first received revelation, the Prophet ﷺ, he went to his wife, as we all know, right? And he says, wrap me up. And he's basically explaining to her what happened. And she says a series of things to console him. And she said, your Lord will never test you or never trial you in such a way because you have these exemplar qualities. But there's one quality that I will never ever forget. And I was speaking to one of the students right now about it. And Khadija, she says to the Prophet ﷺ, it's translated in English, is that you take care of the people who are like kind of like needy, or you help out anyone, right? But the real Arabic word-to-word breakdown is that you see the unseen. You see the people that nobody else sees, right? And I found this remarkably beautiful, that the Prophet ﷺ, he's being told by his wife that one of the most exemplar qualities in you, that there's no way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring you such a trial unless it is a blessing. And she says, and one of those qualities is that you take after the people that nobody else sees in society. When somebody is sitting alone for family night, you don't let them sit alone. You see them when everybody else does not see them. You take care of people, you focus on people, and you make sure everybody is welcomed. And the reason I bring this up, and I want to kind of end it on this, is that for the kids in here, we spoke about it with a couple of you guys, and for the parents in here, etc., and for the sisters in the back as well, is that imagine coming here your first time to this masjid, right? And you come here once, you come here twice, you come here 3 times, nobody says Assalamu alaikum to you. No one says hello to you. No one says, what's your name? Right? You have like over 100, 200 people here. No one asks, how are you, who you are. What are they going to do? You think they're going to come back a 4th time? Maybe even a 2nd time? No. And it's upon each and every single one of us to remind ourselves what this family night is about. This tradition of the Prophet ﷺ was contagious to other people, where people would say and sit with the Prophet ﷺ and say, and they used to believe they loved him so much that there's nobody that loved them more in their life than him. They felt so beloved in front of the Prophet ﷺ. Even men, grown men, will come up to him, and as we all famously know, they would say, Ya Rasulullah, who do you love the most, right? What an ironic question. Have you ever heard anybody ask that question to an adult man? No. But this is how welcomed he made them feel. And if we want our masjid to live on, we want these kids to understand what it means to be in a masjid, everything. Number one is that if somebody's sitting there, you meet them for the first time, walk up to them, say Assalamu alaikum, learn each other's names. How many of us can raise our hand and say, I know more than 10 people in here, right? Especially if you're new. And so the thing is that the Prophet ﷺ always made people feel welcomed. And that is a characteristic of being a Muslim, as that you look for the people who are sitting alone. And it's not a bad thing, right? It could be anybody. It could be somebody who's having a bad day. It could be somebody who's brand new, somebody who just walked in. Regardless of whatever the reason is that we cherish these opportunities to develop and foster brotherhood and sisterhood in Islam. And so when we think about the legacy of the Prophet ﷺ, and we think about the patience he endured, the difficulties in his life, but it is those soft qualities that really engulfed all of Arabia. Nobody ever denied the character of the Prophet ﷺ. They could call him a soothsayer, they could call him a magician, whatever it is, the Quran calls it out. But never ever did they call him a liar. Never ever could they call him somebody who didn't care for other people. And so this is what it means to be Muslim. This is what it means to be from the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This was exemplified in the first conversation that we have after Revelation with his wife, that she says that one of your defining qualities will be because you take care of people that nobody else sees. And what is Khadija Ratham? What is Allah teaching us through her words? I.e., you're from the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu, you're expected to do the same thing. And so we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to pardon us and forgive us for any of our shortcomings. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our mothers who are patiently taking care of the kids in the back. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to instill our children with patience and wisdom, as when they approach this masjid, they honor it and they venerate it with great esteem. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to be leaders who bring our families to the masjid. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the ability to detach from our materialistic desires and to come back to the house of Allah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us and allow us to be with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Jannatul Firdaus al-A'la. And lastly, we ask our Rabb, our Master, to make us of those people who allow those who walk into his beloved house to feel welcome and to be the true embodiment of the character of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Jazakallahu khairan. Please, inshallah, pray your sunnah prayers. And with that said, we hope that you guys have a great month. And inshallah, just one announcement. We do have the Saturday school. It did start up. So inshallah, if you're interested in registering your kid, you want them to be here, you want them to come and pray during Zohar with you, perfect opportunity to register them. It's from 9 to 1:30. It's 9 to 11 for the first session, and then 11:15 to 1:30 for the second session. You can join either session, inshallah, depending on the age group. But nonetheless, bring your kids to the masjid, show up to the masjid. It doesn't have to be for family night once a month. Come periodically throughout the week, inshallah. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum.